Namaste, seekers of knowledge and wisdom. Welcome back to Inkspired Book Reviews, your go-to channel for exploring books that unravel the mysteries of spirituality, culture, and the human experience. I'm Ria, and today, we're diving into a book that takes us to the heart of one of India's most enigmatic spiritual traditions, the Aghori. The book we're reviewing is the Aghori Tradition, Understanding India's Mystical Ascetics. This isn't just a book. It's a journey into the lives, practices, and philosophies of the Aghori sadhus, who are often misunderstood and shrouded in mystery. So, if you've ever been curious about the ashes-covered ascetics of Varanasi, or the profound spiritual truths they embody, stay tuned. Alright, let's start with what this book is all about. The Aghori Tradition is a comprehensive exploration of the Aghori way of life, their practices, and their philosophy. It's divided into 13 chapters, each delving into a specific aspect of the tradition, from their daily routines and rituals to their core philosophy of non-dualism and their relationship with sacred geography like Varanasi and the Himalayas. The author does a fantastic job of breaking down complex spiritual concepts like the Aghori's understanding of Maya, illusion, and their unique approach to death and transcendence. But don't worry, it's not all heavy philosophy. The book also gives us a glimpse into their daily lives, their use of sacred abilities like the Kapala human skull, and their mystical practices like Shavasadhana, or meditating on a corpse. Now, before we go any further, let's address the big question: who is this book for? If you're someone who loves exploring spirituality, Indian culture, or the esoteric, this book is a treasure trove. But if you're looking for light reading or a casual introduction to Indian spirituality, this might feel a bit intense. It's definitely for readers who are ready to dive deep. Let's talk about age suitability and content warnings. This book is best suited for readers aged 18 and above. Why? Because it deals with mature themes like death, cremation rituals, and practices that challenge conventional ideas of purity and impurity. While the book doesn't contain any abusive language or sexually explicit content, it does describe practices that might be unsettling for some readers, like the use of cremation ashes or rituals involving human remains. Now, is this book tied to any particular religion? Not exactly. While the Aghori tradition is deeply rooted in Hinduism, particularly in the worship of Lord Shiva and the divine feminine, the book approaches the subject from a neutral academic perspective. It's not preachy or dogmatic, so readers from any religious background can appreciate it. That said, if you're someone who's uncomfortable with unconventional spiritual practices, this book might challenge your beliefs, but in a good way. Let's move on to what this book does really well. First, the depth of research. The author has clearly done their homework, pulling from historical texts, modern interpretations, and even first-hand accounts of Aghori practices. This makes the book feel both authentic and authoritative. Second, the structure. The chapters are well organized, starting with an introduction to the Aghori tradition and gradually diving deeper into their philosophy, rituals, and modern challenges. This makes it easy to follow, even if you're new to the subject. Third, the philosophical insights. The book doesn't just describe what the Aghoris do, it explains why they do it. For example, their practice of meditating in cremation grounds isn't just for shock value. It's a way to confront the impermanence of life and transcend fear. And finally, the neutral tone. The author doesn't romanticize or vilify the Aghoris. Instead, they present the facts and let readers form their own opinions. This is especially important for a topic as controversial and misunderstood as the Aghori tradition. Of course, no book is perfect, and the Aghori tradition has its share of weaknesses. One of the main issues is the academic tone. While the book is informative, it can feel a bit dry at times, especially for readers who are looking for a more narrative-driven or personal account. Another drawback is the lack of first-hand stories. While the book is rich in historical and philosophical details, it doesn't include many personal anecdotes or interviews with Aghori practitioners. This could have added a more human element to the narrative. And then there's the repetition. Some concepts, like non-dualism and the role of Lord Shiva, are explained multiple times in slightly different ways. While this might be helpful for some readers, others might find it redundant. Lastly, the book could have benefited from visual aids. Photos, maps, or illustrations of sacred abilities and rituals would have made the content more engaging and easier to visualize. So, how could this book be even better? First, a more accessible writing style would make it appealing to a wider audience. Simplifying some of the dense philosophical discussions without losing their essence could go a long way. Second, including personal stories or interviews with Aghori practitioners would add depth and relatability. Hearing directly from those who live this tradition would make the book more engaging. Third, adding visual elements like photographs or diagrams would enhance the reader's understanding and make the book more immersive. And finally, a chapter on how the Aghori tradition compares to other spiritual paths, both within and outside Hinduism, could provide valuable context for readers. Alright, time to wrap this up. The Aghori tradition. Understanding India's mystical ascetics is a fascinating and deeply informative book that sheds light on one of the most misunderstood spiritual traditions in the world. It's not an easy read, but it's a rewarding one for those who are willing to engage with its depth and complexity. On a scale of 1 to 5, I'd give this book a 4 out of 5. It's a well-researched and thought-provoking exploration of the Aghori tradition, but its academic tone and lack of personal stories hold it back from being truly exceptional. If you're curious about the Aghoris and want to challenge your perceptions of spirituality, this book is definitely worth your time. Just be prepared to step out of your comfort zone. That's it for today's review, folks. If you've read the Aghori tradition or have any thoughts about the Aghori way of life, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this review, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and as always, stay curious.